Hi everyone. Can you hear me? I've changed the microphone. Okay. So welcome to today's meeting. It is a very auspicious day. Maybe not for those who are not from the Hindu tradition, but it doesn't matter because we are not addressing the religious side of Shiva. And today is Shiva Ratri, the night of Shiva. Ratri means the night of Shiva. So we know that Shiva is the Mahadev, um, the symbol of pure consciousness, of our pure, unbridled nature that is always in bliss. It is in wholeness. And what's interesting about um, the basic japa mantra of Shiva is Om Namah Shivaya. I think even if you're not ingrained in the Hindu tradition, you have heard this mantra, Om Namah Shivaya. And Namah Shivaya is the 5 syllables of the 5 elements. And of course, Shiva is the Nadguru who roams the cremation grounds, and he is the master of energy, the 5 elements, yes? And we know that our body is made up of 5 elements: fire, water, air, water. So fire, water, air, earth, and ether. And this is a beautiful cosmic science that actually is presented to us through the Vedic scriptures. And it is actually a beautiful way to guide us how it is a manual that guides us how to live a fulfilled life here on this planet. Yes. So I would recommend just to do a little ritual for yourself today for Shivaratri, the night of Shiva, which is just stop eating after 6:15, or I think 6:12. And even until then, you might just choose not to eat heavy foods. And there is this auspicious hour from midnight to, I think, just almost 2 o'clock or 1 o'clock and something a.m. So if you can stay up that late, you can just sit in silence and you can have a sun cup or an intention. And what's really important about today is the vibrational quality of the day. And what do we practice here? We practice connecting with our pranic channel, the spinal column, which Yogananda calls the altar of God. And then on the night of Shiva or Shivaratri, he appeared as a lightning bolt, like this one situated light beam that you could call also your spine, lighting up. And once you truly understand what it means when your spine is activated through the Kundalini Shakti, it automatically rewrites your life. The life before and after are not the same. And of course, the wisdom of the Shakti that then pierces through all of the major centers and then aligns you to Satchit Ananda, or aligns you with Satchit Ananda, which is consciousness, bliss, and truth. Yes, Sat Chit Ananda. And today well, some of the days I don't put Babaji's picture here, but Sri Guru Babaji is a manifestation of Shiva. And obviously, Shiva can have the manifested form or the unmanifest form. And Babaji is known to be, and we wouldn't call him a human. He can take a humanoid form, but he is a Nath yogi who is here responsible for the Atmic evolution of humanity. Atmic means for the soul evolution of humanity. And that's exactly what also Shivam represents. And I would propose to you that your life is a pilgrimage. And if you truly get what I mean by this, then you will start to pay attention to the journey. Life is a pilgrimage. And in the Hindu tradition, pilgrimage, and not just the Hindu, but there's Christian tradition, Muslim tradition, we do a pilgrimage as a tapas. And tapas is where you take on hardship as an action of purification. So what if we considered our life a pilgrimage or a tapas? When you are more serious on the spiritual path, then this becomes obvious to you. Life is a pilgrimage. And what is the path? The path is from the mind into the heart. The sanctum sanctorum of your heart. That is the inner sacred place in your heart. It's not the Valentine's Day type of love, I assure you. So this venture from the mind space into the sanctum sanctorum of your heart, that is the pilgrimage. Nothing is outside of you, just like Shiva isn't. Shiva is not outside of you. This whole body, mind, soul mechanism is a tool to discover Shiva. And I would want to talk again and over again about the mind. The mind uses the five senses in order to experience itself. So the mind is not just the brain, but the mind uses the brain, and then it uses the five senses to make sense of your environment and interact with your environment. Yes. So interestingly, there's a deep remembrance in humans. I believe every single human being has this remembrance of ananda or bliss. It is this immense fulfillment and joy and auspiciousness that is remembered in the backside of our being somewhere. It's there in our memory. And there's great grief about us being separated from that. I mean, obviously the separation is an illusion, just like your body is kind of an illusion. But because we have the remembrance, what happens? We start looking for happiness and joy out here somewhere, in a person, in an object, in a position, like you got promoted, or your career, your family, and you're looking, constantly looking for that joy. And are you granted it? Yeah, you're granted it in a little bout of joy. Yes. And it's almost like this misunderstanding, it's almost like a intermittent reinforcement. Is that we are granted a very little trinket of joy. And then most of it is just our striving for it, striving for happiness. And then we do many things to achieve that because we have that little experience of joy and happiness. And then we chase it. Yes. So we remember Ananda. And where is then? If Ananda is not out here, where is it? Well, I assure you that it is not found in the domain of the mind. And then the mind uses the tool of the brain to create thoughts. The brain is like a receiver. I mean, it is even questionable whether the thoughts are yours. It could also just be a radio waves that are being read by your brain. So there is always a content. We're slowing it down, even though your intellect will rush and say, I know this. I know this speech already. I heard it a million times. Slow it down. So the mind has a content, and that unlimited, ever existent joy and bliss is in pure consciousness. Now I'm just going to flip the coin. First, I'll derive how you cannot get to Ananda, and then I'll point to ways how you can. And what happens is that if you consider the brain and the mind mechanism and AI that is running here, and of course, it is put into the service of your I thought, your personality. So the ahamkar, the ego-making I. And the I is not really real, but it is a conglomerate of impressions, what your parents told you, what your society told you, and also your experiences. I'm a woman, I'm successful, I'm a failure, so on. Many impressions. And the mind is a very rudimentary mechanism, especially the brain. The brain is very, very limited. And our society in Kali Yuga really venerates the brain and all the information that it produces. It produces it from a very limited bandwidth. And we are very convinced because if you consider, just please step back a little bit and notice that the mind, even though you're hearing this person talk right now, the mind is talking. It's creating a dialogue with what you're hearing. And it's constantly commenting, referencing. It's there. Now, Shivam, or auspiciousness and bliss, and pure consciousness, which is in your heart, is exactly in the domain behind the realm of the mind. And to the extent to which you can create a distance between your mind and your pure nature, slowly you're creating this distance until this becomes obvious. The whirling, the chitta vrittis, the whirling impressions of the mind calm down. And what is Shiva? Shivam is the cessation of thought. Shivam is the cessation of thought. So today you can ask, you can have a sankalp. If you, let's say, hold back on eating heavy foods, some people eat a sattvic diet today, or really adamant aspirants would not eat at all. And they would stay up all night. But I would just propose for us, because we're not from that tradition, I would propose that we just stay up meditating from midnight to 1 o'clock. And it's going to be very useful for us, because if you are a meditator, let's say, or you're interested in moksha or liberation, then everything conspires today to lift that energy upward. What was this thunderbolt, the lightless light shining through your pranic channel? That's how Shiva manifested in this realm. That is Shivaratri. Is that remembering to turn inward into the spine. And when you meditate, you can use mantras like Om Namah Shivaya or the Mahamrityur mantra. You can message me later if you're interested in that. That's a very powerful Shiva mantra. And you can either use that as a japa, as in with a mala, or just repeat it, or just sit in silence. It's all fine, because we venerate Shiva in our heart. It's not something separate. We are just recognizing that tattva, that quality of pure consciousness, bliss, truth. And today we are really auspiciously guided to embody that. And you can even have a sankalp, an intention to just let go, let's say pray that you just release your mind, release your thoughts. You surrender. I could say, Mahadev, I ask to surrender my thoughts, my mind. And you will notice that natural, because ananda, bliss and happiness and joy, is your true nature. And so the less your mind is obstructing that natural being, the more you realize that natural joy, contentment, wholeness, bliss. And that's Shivam in your heart. Only the mind and the brain mechanism is giving you the illusion of concepts, a concept of you are a separate person. And then I would like to end this by saying, and I'm prefacing it not to intellectualize what I'm going to say, but Shiva teaches you, once you move behind the domain of the self-referencing I, and behind the domain of the mind and the thought realm, you truly embody the fact. It's not a concept that you're not the doer. And I mentioned this before. But today you can truly align with that. That God acts through you. That you are just the instrument. I think Assisi, who was a Christian saint, said in his prayers, Lord, make me the instrument of thy will. End of teaching. But a lot of, first we kind of can go step by step to realizing that there is this ever dominant mechanism in us that created a sense of I am separate from others, and I need to survive, and I have all these characteristics, and I have all these shortcomings, and I could be whirling in it. A lot of us just die this way. And we're constantly chasing pleasure and avoiding pain. And that's kind of what life is about, yeah. Or you can start inquiring into your own true nature. And to tell you honestly, the ego mechanism is useful when it's integrated. So the ego mechanism is needed to be in relationship. But if it's coming from a selfless place of, Lord, make me into an instrument of thy will, then your relationship is with every single person you meet or situation you meet is with God. Hmm? And of course, the mind can run away with it and understand everything, yeah? Slow down. So if you're given this personality, then you can use it for the sake of creating relationships and meeting God and seeing God in everything. And that's also Shivam. I love this little story. I'm gonna finish by this. There was this really developed yogi who went to um, this grandmaster who was working alongside Babaji, Sri Maheshwar Babaji. He was a different knot, yes, a caliber of Babaji, or maybe close to the caliber of Babaji. And a yogi came to him and he said, okay, just hi, I'm here. You know how to give me moksha, liberation. And then Maheshwar Babaji said, how do you know that? It's not up to me. It's not up to free will. So today we're going to practice this. That okay, but the yogi said, no, 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 you can give me moksha. I know that. And he's like, I've been practicing the Shiva mantra, Om Namah Shivaya, for 18 years, and now the mantra became automated and, and it's running in the background, which is the purpose of mantra. It's just running in the background of my mind, and I know you can give me liberation. And Maheshwarnath Babaji just said, well, as long as there's something running in your chitta, which is, it has many meanings, but let's say in the storehouse of your mind, you cannot get moksha. You cannot gain liberation. And he's like, that's impossible. It's running in the back of my mind. It's impossible. And he just left. And then Maheshwarnath Babaji was just walking, I think, some time after by the Ganges River, and he just sees this yogi laughing like a lunatic. And he got it. So he needed that little push of the Nath, of the Maheshwarnath Babaji, to kind of stop even that. Stop it, because the mantra, what it does is helps us stay in ekagra, which means one pointedness. You've noticed, no, like your mind is everywhere all the time. So if you're repeating these actually sacred geometry based sounds, then it becomes one pointed. So he gained the one pointedness. because it became automated. Right now, our automation, well, you can kind of see what our automation is. I'm not good enough. I'm still healing. I still am getting rid of my traumas. I'm still suffering. So this is our automated mantra. Okay, but the next level is to have the sacred sound be the automation so that it one pointed your mind and then go beyond it when there is just pure silence. But what our technique today will be under this banner is that we just open to consciousness. We surrender. Understand that surrendering, samarpan, the act of surrendering, we know that we have this limitation at this moment, even though it's a mirage, but we have this bowing down countenance of samarpan, surrender, in order to allow pure consciousness, which is also truth, bliss, to then act through you. And again, you cannot will it, you cannot do it, you can't muscle it, none of it. It can just be graced upon you. It's like a grace. And that's why, if you have this attitude of samarpan in your life, of surrender and bowing down, then you're just signaling to this all-pervading intelligence that you're ready. You're ready. And tonight, we're just aligned, planetarily aligned, to be helped that the pran doesn't drop, but it starts, rising and it stays up. So it's like trusting God, but also tie your horse. You do anything you can, everything you can, tying your horse, but then you give it over to God. Yeah. There's a wonderful, I think I shared with some of you, this beautiful mantra which talks to me a lot because I feel Babaji is my sampradaya, the lineage. Literally visualize a beautiful white lotus in the sanctum sanctorum in your heart. You have this bowing down to the lotus feet of the master. And you know what? It could be just your inner teacher. But for me, it's Babaji. I bow down. And then I say Om, Hrim, Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Shri Gurubhyo, he is called the Shri Guru. So let's just step into the backside of our body with our consciousness. And today we're flipping the coin. We allow and open up. This whole practice is the gesture of opening up. And look at the personality that so adamantly wants to be liberated, or even just delivered from suffering. So even that gesture of I'm muscling it, I'm meditating, I'm doing everything in order to be granted liberation. Zoom into the thunderbolt, just like have a vision when there's a very powerful thunderbolt in the sky. And channel it into your spine, because your spine is a thunderbolt when it's activated. And today's Samarpan, or not Samarpan, but our Sankalp, is to pray that we become the instruments of God's will. And this way, just in this intention, we give over, we relinquish the doer, the person who is claiming to be meditating, or the person who is claiming to be very spiritually righteous, or who's having all these connections with different light beings. Just give it all up, please. Because the truth is very simple and immediate. We bow down to the truth and to the will and power and love, which is already the nature of the heart. So the heart is called Hridayam. And I'm going to teach you a sacred sound called, it's a bijakshara. It is a pulsation of primordial truth, light, and sound. So we are going to do an unusual technique today, Hridayam. You can hear already. Hridayam means heart. And truly bring all of your attention and focus to the back body and to the back side of the heart. And we're going to use the sound Hreem, Hreem. And it's a very powerful sound because it is the sacred geometry of nothingness becoming something. And it stops everything. We can call Hreem as the event horizon. Do you know that everything is being pulled towards the cosmic womb. If you know the Shri Yantra, it is the top of the yantra. It is the vanishing point. And we can hear the sound Hreem, Hreem. You can also just impose the sound into your heart, superimpose it. And literally, it has the power to pull you into itself. You're slowly winding backwards from the chitta vrittis, the thought movements, the constant unrest. It's literally a deliverance from your state that you're very kind of familiar with. Everything in the universe is being pulled towards the Shri Chakra, the vanishing point. That's where you find repose. And this is, I already feel it. Today, the pull is very strong. Pull into this, the pull towards a sacred portal. Sri Yantra is a portal. It is the inception point or the event horizon, which means something arises from nothing. So instead of being entertained by things, events, experiences, can you allow the system to recuperate and stop? And the inner Kriya is the following. Visualize the thunderbolt in your spine. And its electromagnetic intelligence is literally pulling the very materialistically oriented, body oriented, personality oriented part of you upward. So just feel that there is like a whirl, a spinning. Start to spin your root chakra. Actually, start spinning it from the earth's chakra underneath your feet. Start spinning it. The quality of the lightning, standing still. And it's rising from the earth chakra up your legs, activating the dormant DNA. And our only intention is to align our will with the highest will and be instruments of the highest will. We're going into the root chakra as if there was a very strong pull that is pulling you into the Shri chakra, stopping time, space, whirling now in the root, creating momentum, rising to the sacral. And this current today, the day of Shivaratri, is to wipe out the identification with the person, the mind, the doer, that which stands between realizing who you truly are. And we are being pulled to the level of the solar plexus. And you can kind of surrender the root into the divine current. Just like when you throw rice into the fire, swaha, swaha, surrendering your ego, surrendering your karma, surrendering your desires, surrendering your so-called traumas, surrendering your memories, surrendering your sacral center, surrendering your solar plexus, surrendering all of the chaos, and then now we are pulled into the heart, activating a pure connection, surrendering all that is blocking you, all the shielding from the purity of love. Because love dissolves. The power of love dissolves untruth. Svaha. The power of love is sometimes tough love. and sometimes it's bliss. So ask yourself, to what level do you dare to surrender your heart to the highest will? The difference between those who are not given that wisdom to surrender their heart, their being, their life to the highest will, and those who are ready to do it, is the first category walks in adharma, and those who are ready, they walk dharma, the path of dharma. And you will see, this is a very deep teaching, that you're being drawn upwards no matter what, but you can resist. And God's will is the will behind everything anyway. You can have the illusion that it's your person doing it. So that is adharma. And then when you truly ripen for dharma, which is universal law, then you feel that you're taken care of. You're taken care of by the divine. Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita says that when you surrender to me, I'll take care of you. You're rising into the throat. And once you truly bow down to your higher intelligence, the pure consciousness, you start receiving guidance from your inner guru. But for that, you need to be available to step behind the noise, the chaos, the grasping, and bow down. We climb into the third eye. And we allow the conscious current to pull us upwards into the cosmic womb with the sound of Hrim. We pray that all veils dissolve from our third eye, all fear, the veils. And for that 1 hour today, between midnight and 1 o'clock, you can surrender your third eye with the prayer Om Triambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushti Vardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandhana Mrityurmukshiyamamritat. Delivers you from fear, strengthens you into the thunderbolt of the lightless light. And we climb to the crown. You just feel this immense pull upwards. Using Shiva's thunderbolt. Which you can also call your Sushumna Nadi. Lighting the path towards liberation. Piercing through your causal body above your head. Piercing through your soul star 12 finger widths above your head, the Chitrini Nadi. Entering the stellar gateway above that. Pure, thoughtless consciousness. Being pulled upwards into the cosmic womb. Calling you with the Hrim sound towards the heart of the mother. Uniting your soul and spirit that yearn to return to the Ananda bliss. That is your guiding force. That is the exuberance, the yearning. That's it. Maybe you all realize our true nature. You can continue staying in this silence. Slow down and use the portal of Shivaratri to be carried up by the current of divine sound and light. Much love to all of you. Shivoham.